Hello and welcome to episode 17 of our Timberborn 1.0 experimental playthrough here with the Folktales faction in cycle 31, day 13. About to be in a drought in just under a third of a day. And, of course, there is so much to be done, so many things to be accomplished, and so many things to be discussed. We're going to get right on into it, get this in triple speed so we don't have to stare at the darkness for too terribly long. But past couple of episodes we've been building up this housing area, trying to improve some bad water diversion things, and getting an idea of what we might need to fix, change, improve, so on and so forth as we enter what I'm going to call the end game of this. Doesn't mean the series is going to be over soon, it just means we've done basically everything there is to do technically, maybe not on the scale that a lot of people would prefer, but we built most stuff, we've researched most things. We have 124,000 science. And there's not that much left to unlock. We still have the earthly cultivator, of course, a couple of decorative things, and then, of course, bots. But outside of that, not a whole lot. I think it's time for us to make some good improvements to food processing, like I've been saying forever, and a couple of you who have asked in the comments. But right away, because this appears to be a hot topic of discussion, yes, we are going to finish and get that hooked up. No, I did not intentionally do that. That just happened. Contrary to popular belief, I am not a clickbaiter. I'm just actually stupid. If we come over here, this is taken care of in terms of exit drains, as is this. And as part of our preparations for this, I put this sluice gate in here. This needs to be, instead of just permanently open from now on, probably modified so that we can just, send all of the clean water this way. I have this open because I didn't want to fill this with mixed nasty water. We're going to wait for that to evaporate and just get completely cleaned up. I don't know why people were saying that the sluice needs to face into here. That makes absolutely no sense. I don't understand it. I really don't. So we're just going to move on and get into another type of thing today, which, like I said, was going to be the food fixing. This is ugly. It does not look good. This is ugly. It does not look good. So what we need to do is instead find a new location, kind of nearby, that we could equip with power and have a, I guess, a nexus of food processing with everything laid out to look a little bit nicer and also just be more functional. So in terms of recipes, there's really not that many in the vanilla game, which works in our favor because then we don't have to set up some sort of incredibly complex nonsense. Maple pastries, cattail crackers, bread, and all that have to be made in these bakery buildings, which do not need to be powered. But the stuff they use has to be made in buildings that are powered. Some of it does at least, which is your cattail flour and your wheat flour and all that other everything. So we are going to need to have power somewhere, but it doesn't have to be a ton of it. Maybe doesn't even have to be connected, period, point blank. But I do think it would be smart to overbuild production. One, because we have a bunch of extra beavers who need something to do. And two, if we ever want to make this a very high population colony, then we'll be ready to go. So, what I'm going to propose is that we have 2 bakeries per food made in a bakery, which means that every hour for bread, for example, we have to be able to supply 2 units of wheat flour, which is not going to be a problem. Come over here to your grist mill. In 1 hour, a single grist mill makes 2 units of wheat flour. So, problem solved, right? Well, not entirely, because we also need the wheat flour to make the maple pastries, but 2 of these bakeries making maple pastries in 3 hours is going to use, what, twice as much? I don't know, math is hard. Here come the math people telling me how dumb I am, but that's fine. So we got 3 of these here. If I just make them in a straight line, that might actually be better. Not entirely sure. And this is one of the reasons why I hadn't done this yet, because I hadn't really figured it out. And then I'm thinking, you know what? I just need to shut up and do it, or it's never going to get done. So, if we have storage underneath the buildings that don't have to have power, that might be a better move. If we have 6 of these, just for the purpose of visualization here, that's what that looks like. And large warehouses in this same area can fit 4. So, if we have 2 bakeries per item, then we have one of these large warehouses for the finished product and then an extra one. So depending on how we want to go about this, we might be able to possibly lay this out in a way that's going to give us some pretty efficient production. We should probably consider the raw ingredients that go into some other things as well before we commit to building this 4th warehouse underneath everything. Because, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think it's really going to be that big of a deal. We're going to max these things out within like half a cycle anyway. If you take a look at, say, the grill, for example, you have these things here. If you just store the raw products and not the finished ones in these giant things, then you're guaranteeing that you're going to just have gobs and gobs and gobs of finished product no matter what, even if you can't store it. If that even makes sense. But everything uses logs, so maybe instead of, for this 4th warehouse, instead of doing that, we make a commitment to put an underground pile in, because remember, this is Folktales, this is not Iron Teeth. We cannot stack the large piles unless we put some sort of a... let me just actually see if this works. See, I can't put that there. But I can do this, which, you know, doesn't really improve on anything, so yeah. If instead of that, I put in an underground pile, I can then do that, which will allow me on the top of that to either put another pile for something different, which for food purposes we would not and could not use, but I could put a medium warehouse for something else in this same area. I think that's going to be the best possible option. So, recognizing that, I'm not saying we have to do this exactly right here, but this is just a big flat spot that I could actually access. If I just decide to do this, and then utilize, like I was saying, this right here, then this gives me a very good opportunity to put something else here that we could actually use, or depending on how, you know, how fancy we want to get, I could also put a grist mill underneath here. Now I couldn't stack anything on top of it, but probably wouldn't look horrible, all things considered. So let's get rid of this mess right here, now that I've theory crafted a little bit, and try to figure out where we're going to put all of this. Because it needs to be kind of centrally located so that we can, you know, distribute to wherever we're going to have all these things all around the map. Which means it probably should be somewhere around here. I don't love this location. This is already kind of a housing area. This is already kind of a mess, but also not really a great location for anything. Honestly, over here is probably not the worst place I could put anything, provided we could actually get materials. We also need to think about where zip lines are going to go. So if I say this is going to be our food production area, and we commit to it, we might be able to make something pretty nice. Scroll down here, you'll see that we do have power. If we want to connect everything, we could also just connect directly to these windmills here, depending on how we want things to look. And it's honestly not that bad. It's not that far away from everything, so maybe there's a better spot. But I think for right now, this is probably going to be about as good as we're going to get. So, now we have a decision. Do we, A, build right on top of here with absolutely no regard for anything else, B, blast some holes down in here and bury storage so that we can have things that look a little bit nicer on the top instead, or C, blast all the way down to the very bottom of the map and build an enormous subterranean complex with huge quantities of both raw and finished product storage. I'll let you think about that for a second. But the answer that I'm going to go with, because I think it would be kind of fun, and to be perfectly honest with you guys, this series has been getting a little stale for me when I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to be accomplishing things without really knowing what I'm doing, so I figured it would be fun to do something kind of outlandish, just a little bit, like this. So what I will do is I'm going to blast this all the way down to the very bottom of the map. Of course, they do have to be able to get over here, and I think they can reach all of this. But if I just blast this all the way down, and I have 4 and 4 here in terms of these giant warehouses, with at the very bottom underground piles for the relevant materials that we can use those for, and then everything else, not necessarily. I think that would be kind of fun, a nice change of pace, and at the end of it will give us a very serviceable building and a whole bunch of fun stuff like that. But we do need literally every single thing, with the exception of the gristmill, is going to consume logs. So we're going to want to have some over here, no matter what. And there's also tanks and stuff that we can put in that could be at the very bottom for the maple syrup and the water and all that. So here we go with that. I'm also going to have to put in triple dynamite in the middle here to get everything set up. And I am going to, since I don't have ladders, going to have staircases to get down to the very bottom. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to accomplish that yet. So I guess we'll find out. We have the technology, etc. I'm going to go ahead and put in some additional builders' huts and make these deprioritized so that we don't accidentally steal workers away from everybody else. Because we're going to need the extra hands to build all this stuff, and we're going to want to do as much as we humanly can. So if I have a space in the middle here for a walkway, then we're going to need to, of course, get down from the outside. We do have the spiral stairs, which I absolutely love. We also have, depending on how nasty we want to get, we have zipline stations that could potentially play somewhat nicely with getting down into our little caverns here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to beef or boom this. Very nice. What happened to not doing terraforming? Well, you see, this isn't terraforming. This is just destruction. It's different. Don't need to be worried about it. But what I am going to need to do is make sure that we can get into relevant areas here. So I am going to have to put in dynamite from the side. I'm not going to do both sides quite yet, but I do want to make sure that we can actually utilize all of this stuff. So this will let us just go straight in from the side to build everything else. We'll have to do it again going down further once we get there. This is, right here, we'll call this level 3, 2, 1, and that's going to take us all the way down to the very bottom of the map, with one more blasted out, I believe, to get to the absolute bottom. But of course, they can only do what they can only do. We have to wait for them to come in with all the rest of this, and we move on from there. They can't actually reach this until this one's done. So let's prepare for that with this right here, B for boom. And we'll just go straight on the stairs down there. And then I believe from the top, or I guess the bottom rather, of this, they should be able to build all of that if I put that in there. And then we're going to be in good shape. Remember that this is going to be storage, and the only thing we're going to see on top is most likely going to be these production buildings. And if I'm going to have 6 of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right here across this side, and then I've got space for grills and grist mills on this side over here. But I do need to actually figure out how many grist mills I need working at the 24/7 output, assuming we end up doing bots, to have enough of this wheat flour here. Cattail flour is pretty easy. If we're going to have 2 bakeries doing the cattail crackers, then that means every 0.5 hours we're going to consume 2 units of cattail flour, which means every hour we're going to consume 4. And every hour, 1 gristmill is going to produce 4 units of cattail flour. And that is the only recipe that uses that, so 1 gristmill for that's totally fine. 1 gristmill in 1 hour produces 2 units of wheat flour. We've already kind of discussed that. And that 1 gristmill can handle 2 bakeries by itself. But then you get to the funky math with the 1.5 hour unit of time. And if we're going to have 2 of those, then that means every hour and a half we need 2 more units of wheat flour, which would be most of a 3rd gristmill, so on and so forth. It's inconsistent numbers-wise, and it breaks my brain. Congratulations if it doesn't break yours, but we're going to move on. B for boom. Wait, they didn't finish the what? What did you leave that for? It's at 93%. What are you doing? Who was that? Who was that? You're fired. I don't care who you are. Don't do that. B for boom. So we go all the way down to the very bottom of the map. Yep, we need 1 more. 1 more detonated out. And then we have to decide how this is going to be layered, because we may want, depending on how we're going to do this, we may want to have multiple staircases to get to multiple sides. Remember, because we do not have ladders. So there's going to be on top of... Oh, I can't put this here because I have a dynamite in place. So this is going to be 4 on the very, very bottom of this, which means this would get us down to the very top of 2 stacks of warehouses. I think this means that staircase is probably actually fine. Which means I need to come in from this side to get down to the very, very bottom. In theory. I don't know. This is a kind of a challenge. And I don't know. This is why I do this in the videos live, so you can see how an actual normal human being can try to play this game without spending like 10 hours theory crafting all this. So that gets us all the way down there. I'm going to need to get to the very, very bottom with another thing there, which means this, if we're going to do the same kind of thing, is going to give us an opportunity to come in from that way. But we could also, depending how we want to do this, we could come in from the side with spiral staircases, one coming out this way, one coming out this way to get to different levels. But it's going to depend on how we want to have this layered up. Let's design around that. Let's get this coming in here first. Obviously I need to be able to get around to everything else, but I don't think I need to worry about messing this up. Just go all the way around the outside. Then if I come in with my spiral staircase set first to go that way, that'll be to the very, very bottom. If I come on top of here with a double platform and I do this, that will be to the next level, which means this one only has to come down here, which I believe is 3 tiles from this point. Maybe 4, but regardless, all I have access to is the 3. So that is what I will be working with. We'll just give them a chance to do this. Make sure we have everything set up in a way that doesn't, you know, not make complete nonsense. Yeah, one more. Okay. And then that one. Rock bottom. Attempt placing dynamite at the bottom of the map. Huh? I didn't attempt... Okay, whatever. It's fine. B for boom. Then this one is going to come down another 3. That should get me to the exact right spot. That going there, and then that's going to become a single... Yeah, I'm thinking this is going to be... It's going to be decent. And then this side comes down to the top of that. I don't think it's going to be an issue. Alright, so if this one then goes down 2, then this can be a single, and then I could either have this come out this direction, or I could have this wrap around to the back side here with another spiral staircase. This one might end up being something a little bit different. Whoa, okay, I almost blew that one up. It ran out of there just in time, just in time. But we know for sure this is going to go here. Alright, so once that is taken care of, should be able to, no matter what, come up here with a spiral staircase and go that way. Whereas this one, if I wrapped this all the way around, would have a descent beginning right around here. Depending on how I want to lay things out, that might not be what I want to do. And now I gotta think about this, because what if we go up one here, we go up one more here, which would put the level of this dynamite, this level right here would be in the corner. If I did a spiral staircase going this way and then another one going this way, then I would... Oh, I'd still not reach the middle right here at the very top. But even if it's offset, I could have them come in from the same side if I... Yeah, you know what? Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's just flip this around. Remember, we are experimenting. We're learning. Knowledge is power. sometimes we can actually figure something out just by, you know, flailing around in the darkness and waiting to see if we've done something bad. The game is very forgiving on normal mode, so I don't think we need to be super worried about anything. Get a B for boom. And one more to go this way, and then this needs to be a double. Alright, yeah, I'm pretty sure if I just do this, and I have this be where we come in, then I know I can get this one to meet up right around here. It's just the middle is not gonna be a viable thing. Alright, so now get this flipped around, get that flipped around. Then that's gonna become a double. That's going to become a single. Did I accidentally prove my point by being wrong? I think I did. Okay, well, I'm not taking that out. That's fine. You guys can see the whole process. That's kind of the whole point of doing it this way. But I do need them to hurry up and finish this. Regardless, very bottom, like I said, going to be a great location for underground pile. At least one. Maybe we have a couple, just so we have plenty of stuff there. If we build tanks, because I know we've discussed this in other series, but not this one. If I put platforms in front of this, we can actually, in a 3-high space, fit an entire large tank and the structure to cover it with. Now I know that's not really gonna line up great with what I've already talked about here, but it is possible, depending on how many materials we want to store down here, for this, at least one of them to go down here. And I think, let me just test this right now to make absolutely sure. I could also just do this. And then one of our 4-high spaces could be logs and could be extract, or no, not extract, maple syrup. Well, maple tree extract, there you go. That, you know what? You know what? I think that is going to be our ticket, folks. I think that's going to be our ticket. I'm going to leave that there so I don't forget. Let's get this blasted. That's the wrong one. Well, I'll be. It's exactly in the right spot. How in the world did I manage to do it wrong and still get the right answer? I genuinely do not know, but now we can get in here and take care of that. That is, honestly, a little bit of a relief, not gonna lie. I was pretty worried about it. Sometimes stuff just works. So, yeah, I'm gonna put this whole setup here right in this corner. I think that's going to make the most sense. And then we have this on the outside that we could decorate, maybe put something else on top of, and not get super bent out of shape with. I'm going to get that connected now so we can actually use that. Everything else is looking just fine. We have no problems. And now this is actually connected to everything else. See? It's fine. Everything is A-okay. So now they can come down here and put all this mess in, and it's going to take us a couple times worth of detonating things to get this all situated because they can't get on top of it. But by the end of it, it's going to be glorious. I sincerely hope, at the very least. Let's B for boom this. So since I have talked about this ad nauseum, and I'm sure you don't want to spend any more time sitting here looking at this, I am going to be time-lapsing this, putting stuff in as I prescribed, and then getting hopefully most of our storage finished, built, so on and so forth, and then we're going to be able to have a good time actually building out the actual production and getting these numbers up, because we still somehow don't have over 1,000 of any one specific resource. Cutting into the middle of this time-lapse to kind of talk a little bit about what I decided to do here. It didn't quite work out exactly the way that I had hoped in terms of laying out levels with using only stairs and spiral staircases, but I have managed to put in a whole lot of storage for at least every type of finished food and all of the ingredients that go into it, plus an extra tank for biofuel for when we eventually have bots going everywhere. Figured I'd go ahead and just get that in place now while I have somewhere kind of okay to bury it and still have the flat space on top to put all of our bakeries and the grist mills and the grills and everything else there. And when we're finished with the time-lapse in just a moment, we will talk about the placement of those things and assigning all the ingredients to all the different stuff. I just wanted to make sure that we were having some sort of, you know, maybe not quite nonsensical explanation of why I ended up doing what I did in this 7-tiled deep pit of nonsense. I'll see you in just a moment. Okay, so welcome to the mess, first of all. What we have here is a whole lot of stuff that needs to get assigned, but what we've done is we've kind of buried the bakeries to the point where we come up from behind. It actually looks pretty interesting compared to just seeing a huge wall of nonsense. But let's go level by level, starting at the very bottom where we have a storage for logs. We have a couple of these medium warehouses that I haven't assigned anything to quite yet. Go up one more level and you have the second medium warehouse. I put a tank of water here just because there was a space that needed to be filled. But we have the overhangs on top of the underground pile that are supporting the maple syrup on this level too. Come up one more level, we have 6 more of these. We've got another medium warehouse, and then above that we have another large tank that I said I was going to assign to biofuel, and then that one's accessed because we have only regular stairs from staircases going up to this level, where we have our third set of 6 warehouses. This is the one that goes to the outside on this end, and then you go up one more level. We have these spiral staircases here that actually need to get connected, so I'm glad I checked in on that. This one goes on top of the other spiral staircase. You go up one more level. That's covered up, and then we're basically at the top. So the staircase situation's a little unwieldy, I guess, but I actually kind of like this better than just going straight out here. So I think what's going to happen, and since we know this math is going to be okay, what I will do is I will instead take this staircase and have it do a 90-degree turn to go this direction, and blast this out as a double, and this as a single, so that we can have a good approach in here. And then we also need to be able to get down to this level, which is just a single right here, and I think that is going to be easily achieved by putting in, come on, there you go. Right there. And then the same exact thing on this side here. So, I'm not completely in love with this, no, but it does work. And it will work, depending on how we want to have this set up. We may even be able to actually kind of duplicate this on this side. You know what? I think that's going to be what we end up doing, folks. I know I'm driving you guys absolutely insane with this. But in some ways, that's part of the fun. So if this is going to be a turnaround here, then this only needs to be... Well, this needs to be 7. Or does it? Yeah, it needs to be 7, that needs to be 6, it needs to be 5, 4, 3, 2, and then 1. Wait, how did I do my math wrong? How did I... Ah! Okay, because this is the one. Beaver statue, Mr. Beaver statue is going to have to go away. Yeah, that's where my stuff was going wrong. So that's 6 already. With this, it's going to need to go one more, which means this becomes 6, which means this is 5, this is 4, this is 3, this is 2, and this is 1. That makes more sense to have a duplicate of this. And then, when that's set up, this could honestly probably just go through the same thing here, unless we wanted something else on this side. But based on how I have this set up, it probably makes more sense to just, you know, commit to doing this as is. So that is what I will do. So we'll let them take care of that. We need to go ahead and assign storages for everything. I don't think it's really going to matter because everything's super close as is. But if we go ahead and just set these so they can, you know, start the process of getting everything sorted, then I think we're going to be good. Maple pastries on this end because this is closer to the maple syrup. And then everything else, well, we will get there when we get there. And this is the one that had to have the single, waiting on this one to get finished. And then we should... I know they have to go up to go down, but, you know, sometimes that's just the way it goes. That one's going to go fine there. This one has to be another triple, this one has to be a double, and this one has to be a single. The spiral staircases, honestly, have really, really turned the whole don't use ladders thing on its head in a very good way. I just have to get used to it. That is not always an easy task. Alright, boom. And that means this gets to go up this way. Same kind of deal here. And they're not going to be able to build this until they get down into there, so that will go just like that. And then I think that's going to get me just about where I want to go. This could actually be replaced with a normal dirt. Both of these. I think that's going to be the best overall option. I realize now that, like, by doing this the way that I've done it, I could also get them down to some of these lower levels on this same side. But I don't think that is going to be of paramount importance. I am still curious to see just exactly how that might work. Well, you know what they say. Just do it. Just do it and cry about it later. So that's going to be 1, that's going to be 2, that's going to be 3, that's going to be 4. It just makes sense, to a certain degree at least, to do it this way. For the sake of sanity preservation. Then, as a reminder, this will have to be exploded one further quantity down. Just need them to finish that. There we go. And then get this last piece in there. And then this can easily be finished just like so. B for boom, B for boom. Same story there. And then this bit here can either come up this way or it can come up this way. How did I do it on this side? Yeah, I guess I came up the same exact way here. I just have to be sure that I'm not going to do this in a completely stupid fashion. Alright, that goes that way. As long as I can have the other stairs come down on top of this, I actually don't think it's going to let me do that if I did that. Huh. Maybe I, okay, I did misjudge this. Okay, well, I think we all figured out that was going to happen anyway. So let's put this in here, right, like so, and there you go. That is the perfectly symmetrical staircase of nonsense. And I guess it works. So these are producing, they don't have anywhere to put anything, they don't have anything going on this side yet, but at least this is kind of better. Well, it's fine. So now that we know we have pretty easy access to most of this, depending on how we wanted to lay this stuff out, I maybe could have done this slightly differently. Let's come right underneath here and make the first storages. This was bread. It's just going to be easiest to do it this way. Cattail crackers here, and then maple pastries here. We have this extra one that isn't as easily accessible, but I think it's going to be fine anyway. So what's going to go under this side is everything that goes for the grills, which is your grilled potatoes, your grilled chestnuts, and your grilled spatterdock. So potatoes, chestnuts, and spatterdock here. And then on the next level down, we have 6 of these. We have this other one over here, which probably just makes the most sense for this to be something like sunflower seeds, carrots, or berries, because those don't need to be processed. I'll do berries. That, I think, just makes the most sense. Yes, those are set. This one now could either be additional storage for these other types of foods, or it could be raw materials. Let's also not forget that we have to put in all the different types of flour. And we want those to be easily accessible by what is above. So this level right here, because we have the staircase that's going up to this side, probably should be these things like the cattail flour and the cattail roots, which we could put here. And the wheat flour and then regular wheat. And then on this side we've got potatoes, and on this side we've got the grilled potatoes. So then we go all the way down to the bottom, and we have 8, technically, because we have these 2 over here. Other food things that we have not made storage for: carrots and sunflower seeds. And then we have these 4 other big ones that we could use to store regular chestnuts, because we have not done... Or did I just gaslight myself? No, potatoes, grilled potatoes, wheat flour, wheat, cattail flour, cattail roots, yeah. We do still need regular chestnuts. We do still need regular spatterdock. And the actual stuff at the very top does have all of that taken care of. Now we got these 2 that don't have anything in them. And I don't really have a great answer for what could go in the rest of these, but it's never a bad idea to have extra storage for useful things like books or punch cards, since we're talking about bots. And then over here we have these 2 medium warehouses that don't currently have anything else to put in there. So why don't we just, you know, underground explosive storage and some gears. That's going to fill that up pretty nicely. Is this the most efficient, beautiful thing ever? No, it is not. How did I miss one of these warehouses? Did I actually put 3 of these in? I did. Well, for a bonus, we've got dandelions, we've got pine resin, we already have so much storage for paper. Pine resin doesn't really get used in much of anything, though. See, that's the problem. Dandelions, either pine resin, why not? Alright, so now that I've, spent the last 45 minutes of my life attempting to figure out some sort of nonsense without dragging you along for the nonsense with me, let's get the rest of this filled out. We have grills to put in place, and we have grist mills. We already talked about needing to have 3 grist mills for the purposes of actually getting this stuff set up correctly. So, if we put this in here, we're going to have a power delivery coming from somewhere, and I don't really have a great answer for that. But we could, depending on how we wanted to do this, we could probably bring this from underneath somewhere. I just have to figure out exactly what that's going to be. But over here, maple pastries need to have the wheat flour. The access to the wheat flour storage is right here. So maybe, yeah, cattail flour, wheat flour. Yeah, let's put the grist mills on this side. So that's going to be here and here, and then we'll have a bonus one right here. And what's going to happen is these are going to have some way of getting power in. So we have an opportunity to either build up above the path, or we can tunnel through here, and then that'll just be covered up from somewhere. I think probably the cleanest way to accomplish this is going to be to just go straight down. And I know we don't have power coming on this level, but we do have one right here. If we were to have this just come straight across, we can go right through the back side of this into, I guess, right about here. Which, I am going to make this a tunnel. Yes, I know it is on the surface, but that will immediately replace it and the path won't be affected. So then that is going to come down to here, where it's going to be buried. Down to here, down to here, down to there, down to there. How did I... Okay, that's the wrong thing. Good job. Yeah, see, that level is what I was looking for. So this goes all the way behind all of this mess. Then we can have this go across here. Not that we really need... We don't even really have access this way anyway, but this is our closest power here. Need to come up one more just so we can get across. See, like, again, this is just so much harder with the folktales. Nobody in their right mind is doing this. But here I am, so that ought to either, be cause for concern or give me something to be proud of. I think what's going to happen here is... I have to take this out, and I have to turn this into, instead of a platform, I have to turn this into a vertical power shaft. And then on top of it do that. So that's also going to require that I have access into here. Easiest way to do that is just to disrupt this thing here. And I know this this connects a whole bunch of power to absolutely everywhere, but I don't really have a better way of doing this. I really don't think it exists. Now, could I, in theory, take one of these warehouses out and just you know, send the beavers back through this way? I could. You know what? For right now, that's probably going to make more sense because we're not making biofuel anyway. It's alright. It's going to be okay. I assume if this makes you mad, you've already clicked off the video. If not, this is your chance now. I still appreciate you, and I'm still glad you're here. But it may be best for your mental health if you go somewhere else. just saying. Let's make this a vertical power shaft so I can put something else on top of it, but this will get everything else connected here. And then I'm going to have space on this side. Let's do one for wheat, one for cattail, and then the bonus one for wheat on this side. And then I've got space right here to put... oh. See, I did not do a good job of this, did I? I really did not. Alright, am I going to have to do some shenanigans here? I think I might have to do some shenanigans. Yeah, because I'm going to need... I know I'm going to need this here. I'm going to need to be able to put this here. This will divide these... So divide these in half. Why am I like this? Why am I like this? Scientists still aren't sure. But I know that'll work. I just don't have enough space for another one here unless I turn this around, but that's going to block everything completely. Well, I do also have... I've got these two separate things. This is making maple pastries. That's making maple pastries. Decisions. I do need to have 3 of these. So if I did this here, it's hard to see all of this at the same time, but I couldn't put that there because it would be blocking doorways. I could put this here, and I could put this here if I just swapped doorways, but then those two would be cut off, and this would be completely separated. Well, you know what? I can't spend too much time worrying about it, or then it's going to be just miserable to watch this, so... If I just commit right now to doing this, quote-unquote, the wrong way... What's closest to this site? Is it potatoes, chestnuts, or spatterdog? None of the above, honestly, but I guess I'll do potatoes, and then I can have this one go this way. Oh boy, it's hideous. It's fine. Chestnuts, spatterdog, so on and so forth. That will go there. That's fine there. This connects to here. I mean, it works. It's there. Oh, I'm not happy with that. But I told you I'd do it, so. Oh, also, this is definitely going to result in everyone's favorite pastime, which is chasing stuff through the tunnel. That'll be time-lapse, don't worry. Hey, we have 6,400 food. That's progress. Oh, the farms can't keep up, by the way. I am very aware of that. We're going to have to fix that probably next episode. Let's get rid of this so I don't have to worry about that being a thing. I just need to make sure this stuff gets all connected here. And I just need to do from here. Oh, see, you know what? I'm going to have to get rid of this anyway so we can put the power shafts in place. So I didn't even need to, need to worry about this at all. I could have just made it, you know, a normal kind of nonsense. Yep, that still has to be a vertical thing there. But I can still path right on top of it, that's fine. Alright, folks, it's everybody's favorite time once again. It's time-lapse mania, where I'm going to get this stupid power shaft thing hooked up and then turn it into a not stupid thing, because at that point it will be working. And as we all know, if it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid. Or alternatively, it is stupid, but it works, which makes it substantially less stupid. Regardless, they'll get this taken care of, and then we're going to look at our unholy creation. All right, finally, after 84 years, this is hooked up, it's connected, and all we have to do is get that right there, and suddenly, this thing is working. And now it's actually working. So, it's ugly. It really is. But it works. I mean, it's better than this. That was my absolute minimum standard, is that it wasn't this. So, now what I get to do, the most fun part, is just absolutely obliterate this whole nonsense here. Cattail crackers, cattail flour, that's already empty. That, get out of here, 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 get out of here. Same old kind of story. Just get this absolute nonsense trash out of my sight. Alright, that's a lot better. Yeah. Good. We can do something else with this space now. And it isn't a complete, absolute, just abomination. So, not gonna lie, folks, I thought this was gonna turn out a lot better than it did. But the important thing is that we actually did it, and it's done. Okay, so what else? What else do we need to do? Because I can't just have that be the only thing we do in this episode, or people are just gonna be like, I'm gonna unsubscribe forever. This corner needs to be the battery area. I don't really have power coming over here, and I certainly am not going to subject you to another time lapse in this episode. But I think this needs to be our next major project, is power reserve over here. However we want to do that. So if you have ideas for that, feel free to let me know. But aside from this, I did have some people asking if we're going to get geothermal fields integrated, because we do have a few that are kind of in the general area now. Including that one, and there's one somewhere else. But if we come down here to where our power stuff is, we're actually not that far away from integrating into this if we continued this way, and then up to here. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to subject you to the time-lapse nonsense again, at least not this episode, but I will start to lay the framework for us to come, that is not right, lay the framework for us to come back over here. Did I? Okay, no. It worries me when I do stuff like that and I see a big cloud that I wasn't expecting, because then I was like, uh-oh, what did I do? But this here, when I actually build something on top of this, which I guess I could go ahead and just place, so I don't have to worry about it. I have to have this come up from this right here, but I can't place that yet because it has to be in exactly the right spot. So what has to happen here is, I suppose, I can make that a triple down, so that would be down to here, and then at that point it has to become a tunnel, and that is not quite on the same level. That comes all the way down to here, and then that's going to become power shaft, which means this has to become the walkway to install everything. So that's where we're at. And I know we don't have access to get to the inside of this. I will have to give them some sort of means of access. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know how that's going to happen. At least not right now. I could do this, but then that's just going to flood the tunnel, and we'd like to avoid that. So what might actually have to happen is, because this is dry enough up here, I will most likely need to do one of these numbers, where I just put in a triple dynamite, blast down until I can't blast anymore, and then, oh, I need to move that one more this way so I can actually put that where everything else is happening. I have to be able to get a spiral staircase down there. Fastest, easiest way to do that, so the 2x2 is how that's going to be. But like I said, I'm not going to subject you guys to that this episode, because I've already done more than enough damage to your collective psyche. So that's next episode stuff. Just getting that out ahead of everything now. And then I think I was supposed to check on a couple other things. So we already talked about the sluice. We already talked about the aquifer power. I guess I should probably make sure that everything is actually connected power-wise. Just click on some random stuff. Because you never know when could be possible that something is not connected and it's supposed to be. Oh, hey, this is dried out. Well, that's something we can fix. Yeah, okay. So that needs to be closed below contamination so that this can actually flow through here. I know that was in the comments. Don't worry. I read them. I do actually read them. Sometimes it's definitely not in my best interest to read them, but I do always do it. So this is going to flow once this gets all filled up over to here. Make that nice and green, and then it's going to spill over here, which will fill this up, and then also turn these wheels. Generate just a tiny bit more power. And then I think we are going to be in about as good of a position as we can be. But this is about the point where I just, I can't think of anything else to do that's not going to be just emotionally damaging for you guys to watch. So this is where we're going to call this episode. I really appreciate you guys watching these. Genuinely, and I know this was a rough episode. But what do? I always tell you I'm going to be upfront. I'm going to be honest about what happens. I'm not going to cut out when I make mistakes. And I'm going to show you that you can absolutely play this game even if you're dumb. So, as long as we're all on the same page that that's what we want to see, then that's how I'm going to keep doing things as long as I can keep doing it. And we'll just do our best with what we have, because that's always what we've done. Can't do it without the beard boosters supporting the channel, making it possible for me to just commit to insanity and do all these things without having to chase the algorithm or have sponsors or any of that nonsense. So, thank you. I really appreciate you. And I know sometimes it's hard, but your support really does keep everything going, both on and off of YouTube for me, and I got a whole lot of other stuff I'm dealing with. So, you know, spending some time playing with the beavers and conversing with you guys really, really does make a big positive impact on my life, and I'm deeply, deeply thankful for you. So whatever it is you're doing with the rest of your day, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see each other again soon. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.